All right, guys, welcome here. Week 7.
Hey guys, welcome to week 7 of Respect Your Elders. It was a really weird week this week. I mean, the median under 90 points. We hadn't had one under 100. We went ahead and jumped to the 90s.
Impressive.
But at the same time, we also had a guy almost score 200. You'll have to stick around to figure out who that guy was.
It's not exactly like how I worded it.
Yeah, but see, I'm going to make your part the silent part. And then it's going to start with me.
All right, guys. Time for the unusual top performers. Players of the week. We'll start with Kenyon Drake. This man, 20 attempts, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brought a total points to 31.4. He had maybe about half that before his last run, though, of the day in the game. That's what those two words, they were mixed up. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, he almost doubled his score on the last offensive snap of the game, and that's pretty impressive because he had a 69-yard touchdown. That was 14 points, almost 15 points there, actually. So
it's pretty impressive for Kenyon Drake because his season up until that game was like atrocious. Like his mom even called him out.
Yep.
Said he was playing bad. I mean,
that's what it took.
What's bad.
Yep. Took his mom calling him out to go from an average day to a great day on the very last attempt. Yeah. His mom must have called him before that last drive.
Yeah. And then there was also Justin Jefferson. I guess it wasn't Ian dropping him. It was just the threat of the drop this time because he took it personally, being on the Duke performance last week, and ended up with 9 receptions, 166 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's 37 fantasy points right there. Another big performance. So we had another receiver this week. 2 receptions, made it on top performers because he had 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, 22 points. That's 2 weeks now in a row that we've had a couple 2 reception games and just crazy yardage to go with it. Mm-hmm. You know, this guy, Christian Kirk, it didn't matter where he was on the field. He had a 6-yard touchdown, 80-yard touchdown. So he scored from anywhere, just wherever he felt like scoring, he scored.
Yeah. And coming up next is Derrick Henry. He had 212 rushing yards, 53 receiving yards, and 2 total touchdowns, bringing him to 44.4 points, which is some quarterback numbers. But, I mean, whenever you're the same size as Khalil Mack, but you're faster, that's like putting a custom Madden character into a game on rookie mode. It's not fair. I mean, he still can't make a cut, spin, do any of those things like a normal running back. He still looks like a defensive lineman just running fast. But whenever it's a small corner like Josh Norman trying to contain him on the outside, it's not going to work out for the defense.
Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing for Josh Norman. He got thrown like a small child.
He's getting used to it. He's had this video clips like this.
Yeah, it is a recurring theme. He should probably just, take the Dion route. Don't tackle anybody. Just stay out of the way. Just play, ball hawk. Don't put your body out there.
Yeah,
needs more business decisions for sure.
Yeah. And moving on to the Dookie performers this week. First up, we have Bills receiver John Brown, who got a decent 4 targets in the game for 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 fantasy points. I mean, every other receiver on the Bills team got points in some sort of way. John Brown, I don't even remember his name anymore. He's irrelevant.
And moving on to the next wide receiver, we got Juju Smith-Schuster. The Steelers blew out the Browns. I mean, that game was not close from the beginning. So you would expect probably Juju did something. No. 2 catches, 6 yards, 1 point. It's bad. Just bad.
Yeah, it's not fun to watch if you own him in any of the leagues. It's even worse if you try and follow him on any social media because he is just dancing in videos. He's having a good time because the Steelers are doing great. He's a team player, but he is not your fantasy team player at all.
Our last Dookie performer, old Theodore Bridgewater. Threw 2 picks, 9 fantasy points. The Panthers defense kept him in that game the whole time. Teddy's like, guys, don't worry. I'll make sure we won't ever capitalize on any of those opportunities. I don't know why the Panthers signed him. I've been very against that since it happened. I could get up on my soapbox. We could turn it into Kevin A. Smith. You know, it's just preposterous, inconceivable. I don't know what the Carolina Panthers were thinking. He's been a career backup since his injury. We don't need this man on the team. You had Cameron Newton, former MVP. He took you to the Super Bowl. You want to pay this man $20 million to be bad? Why? I don't know. I have Herbie fully loaded bye week. I'm scrounging the waiver wire. I was like, Teddy B, wrong. Should have never touched that, man. Ian beat me in priority. Tannehill gets like 40 points. I get Bridgewater 9 points. Would have beat Jacob if I had Tannehill, but no, I had to get Teddy. I would have liked to drop Teddy after the first offensive series. And yeah, it was rough.
Moving on to the matchups from last week. First up, we have Coop and Obi. And it came down 100 to 83. Coop was able to pull it out. Not a very high scoring game. I have to point out on last week's show, Jacob is quoted saying, talking about Coop and Obi, when they go down, they go down. And they both performed under their average. To be fair, side note, 9 teams in our league performed under their average this week, but he still got this right. He still was correct. They went down. Doesn't matter how many other teams did it. Yet again, Coop is able to pull out a low-scoring victory. He is in the top 4, and if you look at his points, he is 8th on points for. That is a heck of a season he's putting up. Just doing what he's got to do each week. Nothing more.
He's got the game manager quarterback in there, controlling the clock.
Yep.
Doing what he has to do.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's all he needs to do. Then coming up next was the Elders Showdown between Kevin and Jacob. And you could probably tell from earlier, Kevin had a little bit of a bumpy road this week, and Jacob was able to win 112 to 86. So with that win, Jacob is still hanging out in the number 1 spot, and Kevin is just trying to stay with me down at the way cooler, more pristine bottom section of the standings. For all of you people who aren't cool enough to come down here, that's what it's like. It's real nice.
I mean, everyone remembers in school, all the cool kids sat at the back of the bus. Yep. That's what we're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no need to.
The best house has the best foundation, so.
Sure.
We had Chris versus Alex. Chris scored 87 points, so I know what you're thinking. Couldn't pull it out. Wrong! He did win. Alex broke into the app, kicked Riley out. He's got the 2-factor authentication now. And Chris won 87 to 53. So
that's 53 points. Alex could not have made it more obvious that he jumped into that app. I mean, he didn't even try to hide it. Like I brought up last week, there was a possibility Chris needed to get out of his losing streak, and we don't know if he reached out to Alex. His team is currently under investigation for that. We're not going to assign any penalties at this point, but his team is under investigation. We got to get down to the bottom of it.
We alerted the right people. The authorities are looking into it, and we'll get back with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving on, we had the Aaron versus Chase matchup, and this is another one where Jacob last week, the man of the hour apparently, he said, "I think it's going to be a weird score," and he was right. 92 to 66. Yep. Jacob said it was going to be 90 to 85. He believed in Chase more than he should have apparently. And, yeah, it's a weird fantasy week last week.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I just got to point out the mustache that Kevin's rocking right now. Got the handlebar, a little curl going on. Looks fantastic. So, anyways, next matchup was Colt versus Ginny. And, yeah, well, Colt, I think you're just down to just bad now. I think that's 2 wins in a row. No more very, very. So you got the win with 138 to 90. So
it seems to be when the rest of the league is down, Colt is up.
Yep. He's siphoning the points.
Yep. He spirit bombs everyone's energy away, pulls it to his team, goes off.
That's just rude behavior.
It is
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
so
I mean, I know you said Jenny lost. Jenny's been in dead last the whole year. Even though she lost, she beat that low median of 89 points. She scored 90. And she moved from dead last to 10th. That's pretty good.
Making moves.
Making moves. So, as we mentioned earlier in this show, some guy scored 197 points. And that game involved Bo. It wasn't Bo, though. It was Ian. Ian scored 197 points this week. He could have scored 100 less points and still would have won and beat the median. He would have had the same record he had with 100 less points. So that's just crazy.
I mean, look, whenever the game started, he started off strong this week, and I knew what he was doing. He was trying to get to 200. I was like, look, I'm not going to be the guy who stands in the way of that. I'm just going to hang back and just watch what happens. And he couldn't even hit 200. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. What a loser.
I mean, he has all the points in the world. Nobody's scoring any other points. He has all the points to take, and he goes 3 less. I mean, what's the point? You know?
Yeah, why get that close? Like I said, could score 100 less, so he just wasted that opportunity today.
Wasted it all.
Yeah.
I think we should credit Ian on his waiver wire scouring this week. He made a lot of acquisitions. I think 4 in total that went into his starting lineup. Most of them, if not all of them, were for 0 fab. You know, just hunting the bargain bin. Like I said earlier in the show, he did snipe that Tannehill away from me. It was actually his 3rd attempt to get a quarterback that week on waivers. So we all kind of just screwed the pooch on that one and just let Tannehill fall right into his arms. And Tannehill's like, you know what? I'm going to score 40. And then Derrick Henry's like, I'm going to score 44. And those 2 alone would have beat Bo. That's all he needed.
Yeah.
But he was like, guess what? I also had Justin Jefferson, who got like 31 or something crazy.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
So, moving on to this week's matchups. We're going to start with one that George W. Bush did. Number 9 versus 11.
Oh my
God. Kevin versus Obi. This is the toilet bowl, folks. This is the toilet bowl of the week. And no matter who wins this, they can only move to 9 this week still. So I say just don't worry about it this game at all. You might not even mention it next week who won. Doesn't matter. So
yeah, honestly, I think Obi should just let me win. I'm already at 9. We don't need to move in the standings. We'll just let me win. I'll stay in my spot. He can stay at 11. Like it's just no big deal. We'll chill. We'll stick with the elder theme. We'll go into Bo's matchup next week. It's Bo versus Alex. So we get to find out, is Riley going to take back over? She let Alex have it go. He scored like 53 points, so clearly that was not the move. Riley should take over that app again, change the password, maybe go to 2-factor authentication, but use like your mom's phone number or something. I don't know. Don't use whatever you were using. You need to take another security measure because don't let Alex into that app. Don't let him touch that team. Bad things happen when he does.
I think you should let Alex touch the team. I think he had a bad week. Let Alex try again. He is your husband. Give him another go. Just give him a chance. And look, nothing bad can happen. Like I said earlier, I cannot move down in the standings. I'm in dead last. I did that strategically, so I can't be disappointed. But Alex and Riley at 8th place also cannot move down. If they lose to the median, they stay in 8th place. So might as well give Alex another shot. Just for this week. After this week, you take it back over.
Moving on, we got Chris versus Ian. Chris ended the Christastrophe. He put the exclamation point in front of his name to say not Christastrophe. So clearly that was the move. He got a win under his belt. Ian just tried to score as many points as he possibly could. So it's time to find out, did he use like a 2-week allotment? Is he not going to score any this week? Is he about to drop a goose egg? Because he scored way too many last week.
That's true.
So they had to have come from somewhere. So we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe Catastrophe comes back. Maybe it continues to, go away. We'll see what happens. And then we'll move on to Aaron versus Jenny. Aaron is currently tied for second spot. He has a chance to move to number 1, depending on what happens with his game and Jacob's game. Jenny is currently tied for 9th, so she could take that spot from me. I would prefer her not to, preferably. I don't think I could take that embarrassment of falling below Jenny in the standings. It's not something I want to experience. Aaron, hey, Jacob's had number 1 now for what, 4 weeks now, Jacob?
Total, yes.
Yeah, so I think that's plenty. We don't need to have you do that anymore, so let's let Aaron have a shot at it.
Yeah, he's had number 1 before, so he doesn't need it. So I'm good. I'm good to stay, actually.
You're good? Okay.
All right. Well, since we got that handled, Aaron, sorry, Jacob's going to stay at number 1. To be fair, Jacob, the fate is in your hands.
That's true.
You are in number 1 right now. 2, 3, and 4 are tied. So as long as you win, they cannot pass you. But if you lose and one of them wins, there's a good chance that they pass you. This week you play Coop. He is number 4. So that's one of the ones you have to worry about. And I mean, it's going to be a tight game. Coop has been hanging on up there. Like earlier I said, he's only got the 8th highest points, so he only does what he needs to do, but he does have a top score on the year for one of the weeks. It was week 2. So he knows how to score high. He just prefers not to. We have Chase versus Colt. That is number 5 versus number 7. And again, we have another tie all the way from 5 to 8. They're 6 and 6 apiece. They cannot move higher than number 5, and they cannot move below number 8. So it is just a fight for the middle of the pack.
I also want to point out this is another C versus C matchup. Just something that keeps popping up.
Yeah, I think we're going to have one of those every single week.
It does feel that way.
Good job, guys.
Oh, do I need to get up? Oh, shit. Who's gonna come back first?
We're back. Kevin, your run out of there was great.